Are you actually willing to make yourself under control? All this and more on the Self Evident Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to the Self Evident Podcast. I apologize for the quality of the video and probably the microphone as well. I am out here in beautiful Texas right now, and this one's going to be a little more just kind of personal, a little laid back. I looked at all the news, and frankly, you ever get sick of it? And that's kind of where I'm at. And the point is, I'm just kind of sick of all of it. And I was thinking about, okay, what do I cover for the podcast today? Because, guys, it's not always easy to come up with content every single day. But and that's part of why so many people do the news is because it's a lot easier to come up with content if there's a news cycle to pay attention to. And it keeps the news cycle going, of course, and you forget about stuff that happened only a week ago. But I was thinking, and I'm like, man, I'd rather talk about more so what's going on, not necessarily just in my life or what I'm learning and that kind of thing. And I was just about to press record. I was kind of thinking in one vein, and then this Bible verse came to me that I had talked about yesterday when I was out at the Fold, which shout out to you guys. Love the Fold. I love you guys. It was a great time yesterday. But 1 Corinthians 9:27. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to just talk for a couple of minutes about this because while I'm talking about it on stage, I'm fashioning more about this idea. And I had thrown it into my presentation for a reason, but it's kind of like when the Lord gives you revelation and you get another deeper level than what you originally saw in something. So 1 Corinthians 9:27, it says, "But I discipline my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified." You know what came to mind? All these stories of pastors getting nailed for infidelity. And I said yesterday, and I'll say it again, it is not a new phenomenon, guys. I think sometimes we're like, oh, this is brand new. This has never happened. These type of things happen and have happened throughout the course of time. Now, that doesn't mean we don't pay attention to it, but the one thing I was thinking about is very much this Bible verse. Paul's saying, I don't want to be disqualified. I've been preaching to others. I don't want to be disqualified. If that doesn't speak to what's going on with some of these pastors today, like the whole Steve Lawson thing that just broke, and we've talked about the Bethel stuff, and we've talked about IHOP and all kinds of different things, right? Robert Morris, all of that. And typically, what we do is we take this verse and we go, oh, that means sexual immorality. And yes, absolutely. But do you notice we don't in the church talk a whole lot about that physical process of bringing the body under subjection? At least I don't feel like, and everybody always postulates they're sitting in their armchair and they're talking about the church needs to talk about this, church needs to talk about that. I will say for me, I haven't heard this discussion a whole lot. And so I figure I'd bring it to you guys and put you what I'm thinking about it. When we talk about subjecting the body, right, bringing it into subjection, talk about making it our slave, disciplining the body. I'm a firm believer that physical activity, working out, that kind of thing, helps you learn how to understand your body, not just in a physical sense, but the desires that rise up in your body and how to push aside those desires, or if you do not desire to do something, being able to bring your body under subjection and do what you're supposed to do. Maybe that's eating healthy, maybe that's working out, maybe that's drinking more water. But all of that translates into how you interact with your flesh. If you've never trained yourself how to interact with your flesh, I think sometimes people get overly spiritual and they think, well, the Lord will just take care of it. And the Lord can certainly take care of deep issues, or dare I say, things that oppress us, things that one dares say control us in a spiritual sense, curses, that kind of thing. But I don't think that if you throw up a prayer of, Lord, I just want to stop eating junk food, there may be times where the Lord's going, no, you need to struggle and learn how to ignore it, how to avoid the junk food and ignore what your flesh is yelling out for. And this idea of Paul's pointing out, look, if I don't bring my body into subjection, if I don't make it my slave so that it does what I want it to when I want it to, and it does not do what I don't want it to. If I don't do that, sooner or later I'm going to sin. My flesh is going to take over and I'm going to go against the spirit. And then I've disqualified myself in front of all those people that I preach to. Does that not speak to all this stuff going on? Especially I've watched countless people in this Steve Lawson thing write about how much they admired the man and how shook they are about the whole concept. And it's got me to thinking of, if we don't value putting our bodies under subjection, and we don't value what it means to actually take the flesh and make it our slave, in that fit of desire and temptation, instead of understanding what's going on and seeking out the Lord and praying and firming up against it in order to continue on your way, we give in. And then there's that period of shame. There's that period of, wow, I need your grace, Lord. And God is very graceful. He abounds with grace. But there is especially if you're somebody who you're preaching to others, you're leading others, maybe you have your own church, you're in ministry, that kind of thing. Like, there's a higher standard for you, because what happens is exactly what 1 Corinthians 9:27 is talking about: is if you give in or you compromise, will that damage your testimony later on? And I humbly think about the mistakes I've made in my life. And you get some of these guys that stuff happened 20, 30 years ago, and then all of a sudden it's taking them down. And I I've committed sins in my life, right? And I never want those things to tarnish my testimony. And we can look at each other and say, "Oh, but we understand, former life, all of that." But I mean, it, I look at it with gravity and understanding, um, a a a sense of importance on the issue. And so I say all this, and this will be a short one, this 15, 20 minutes tops, because I don't think I need to beat it into submission for you. But this concept of, hey, your body should be your slave. Your body should not be in control of you. And what we're witnessing, especially in this culture and society today, is the exact opposite. It's what I feel, what I feel on the inside, and free to feel the way you are, and all of that. And you notice what the twist is. You notice how bad and evil that twist is. Oh, no, no, no! Just go with how you feel. Go with your desires. Go with your pleasures. It's so satanic. And Christians, when we support this concept, we're actually going against Scripture, because what we're saying is, no, 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 it's okay. You don't need to make your flesh your slave. You don't need to make your body your slave. Just listen to your body. Your body is the master. And I've likened it before, and I'm sure maybe you guys have heard this, and if you haven't, you're going to hear a cool one. I liken it to your body being a greedy, spoiled 5-year-old child. I mean, want, need. I want this, I want this. And if you've never disciplined the child, what do? Scream louder, yell harder. They know all they got to do is raise a ruckus for a little bit and you'll give in. And your body's the same way. I'm telling you, fast for a couple of hours and tell me how you feel. Tell me what your body does. Your body go, okay, cool. Sounds good. We're on the fasting train. Or does your body start yelling at you? I need food, I need food, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry, right? Maybe it's junk food, you know, and you like junk food. What happens when it sparks up and that desire is there? I really want some junk food. How quickly the compromises and the excuses come. And I think about the serpent in the garden with that. Eve desired, right? There must have been a struggle within her, I hope. But the serpent, now you could have a debate. Did the serpent awaken the desire and she had none before that, or was there some kind of inkling of desire that the serpent played on? I don't know. I'll let theologians argue that. But either way, the serpent exacerbated desire within Eve. And Eve didn't even put up a fight, really. Well, God told us that was pretty much it. And if we haven't trained ourselves to recognize sin in compromise and recognize where compromise leads, then we're going to be victims of it. Dare I say, accomplices, not even just victims. And so I'm encouraging you of start seeing these battles with your flesh in a different light, the compromises we make. And I've been thinking a lot, especially, most of you know my passion is very much that men's side of things. And I've been thinking a lot about that concept for men of, what a real man is? He doesn't compromise himself. He doesn't give in to just the random desires, the vices, whatever. No, that's not all encompassing definition of a man by any means. But I think a major portion of that is he does his duty, he sticks to his responsibilities, he upholds virtue in spite of the conflict or the adversarial elements. So whether it's his body and inside that is an adversary to his responsibilities, his duties, his morals, or if it's outside. I think we look at who's a great man and we think about it's those ones who don't compromise, whether inside or outside, you know? And there's something that's very sad when we watch men who we thought were great, upright, standing on conviction men, and then it comes out, well, no, they had a major falling. Does not mean they can't be forgiven, restored in the name of God. I'm not necessarily saying ministry, although you will notice David he never gave up his kingship after his sin, and horrible sins, but he was restored to the Lord. So I'm not saying you can't be restored, and I'm not saying that therefore David was not a man, but that's a chink in the armor, and it caused a lot of consequence down the road. And so that is something else to think about is those steps you take in compromise, what chinks in the armor are they producing that an arrow or a sword might get through later on? Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, relationally. If if we continue on those compromises, it's like we're cracking our armor. We're crunching it here, we're cracking it there, we're shaving pieces off there, and we weaken. And there may be that point where we're preaching to others, but it disqualifies us from them because they see our past and they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. And I can hear people now, of course, there's grace and there's overcoming and there's restoration and God can take ashes and turn them into beautiful things. Absolutely. Why make his job harder than it has to be? And I do believe there are those times where God says, I can't use you in this anymore. I really want to, but it just, David, now being a man of bloodshed, I don't think it was a sin. It was something God had called him to do, but God said, you can't build my temple. Sorry, you're a man of bloodshed. I'll let your son build it, but you can't build it. And so there is that discrimination when you make certain choices or compromises or you go certain paths. God may say, look, I just can't use you in this area because guess what? This and this and this. And it doesn't mean he's done using you, but I really encourage you, don't make his job harder than it has to be. And you learn a lot about yourself in in fighting those compromises. And so go back to 1 Corinthians 9:27, read it over, meditate on it. What does it mean to make your body a slave to you, so that when you proclaim to others, you will not be disqualified? And I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to think about that, and pray for others that you know are struggling and stuff. Pray for them for strengthening. Pray for them for conviction and principle. Pray for them to see the other side, because I think so often when we're battling this stuff in the heat of the moment, we can't see the other side. And our body's going, I want, I want, I want, I want. And we can't hear anything else, and it gets tough, and it's like, I just want that to go away. And so I'll just give in. And there's a growth pattern. And I assure you, the more you learn how to handle that area, you can become better at resisting that temptation. And it will flee, and it may take a while. So I hope you guys got something out of this. I love taking passages like this and really just diving down deep to figure them out and see, okay, what have I missed in this before? And so I hope that helps. And by all means, guys, keep your eyes open for us, and be sure to go to theselfevidenttruth.com and get yourself a shirt, get some merch. Um, don't forget, we do have a pre-sale for the Church Liberated book. So if you want to order that, I believe it's on the website right now. If not, just get a hold of us. But right now, the pre-sale price is $17. Once it comes out, it's going to be $22. But go ahead and pre-sale it, order it. We'll get it to you as soon as it's out. And it's going to be a great book, especially for pastors, but even those who you want to learn more about. Hey, the church can be involved in especially the area of governance. There is nothing telling you that you can't. And even if there was, you shouldn't listen to it. It's your duty. So I love you guys. Hope you all have a great day. All right. Have a great day. Love you guys. Bye.